We will get started. We will first do our call to order from my left to right and then on mine.
Okay, Robert Jones.
Jenny Sisson,
Probably.
and then on mine is
James King's here.
and James King. So we have a quorum established, and then later we'll should have an additional person as well. The approval of looks like our August 19th, 2025 meetings.
A while ago. August.
I'll give everyone a second unless we have a motion.
Who to accept?
We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion approved. We will move on to our old business. V 08-19-2025-01 variance from the development standards in the neighborhood business zoning district 590 South Main Street in Pendleton. Petitioner was Jeff Humble.
Can we do our old business, okay, the old business is regarding property at 740 Henderson Way.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, okay.
I
okay.
had
I just want to make sure.
Sorry.
That's okay. I think we're good.
But
Yeah.
I also, let me back up. Prior to that, we need to make an emotion to amend this agenda. This is the beginning of the year and we will have to vote new officer roles, but I would like to, push that until after Kyle's present. So if we can make a motion to approve an amended agenda.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second? So we approve to amend the agenda to add officers, and we will do that later in our agenda once Kyle arrives. Now we will move on to old business, which is actually V 08-19-2025-01 Henderson Way.
Good evening and thank you. Yes, this is regarding the property at 740 Henderson Way. I know it was a few months ago. I'll just go through a quick recap of the findings of facts that was established by this board this last August. This particular petition was a variance of development standards regarding building orientation for the mini strip mall that is planned for just here west of the downtown area, which falls just right east of the I-69 corridor. This variance was over 5 parcels there that will be all one cohesive development. It was presented by Crete and Crete. They had petitioners there on behalf of Crete and Crete that had presented this variance. And based on the facts that were presented and things that were considered by the board, the criteria first is that it was considered not to be harmful to the public health and safety. In fact, that the orientation provided a better circulation for both traffic, vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic. So there was thought that there was an overall improvement and support to the site with that change in orientation. The use and value of the area was deemed not to be negatively impacted. There are similar developments within and land uses within and surrounding this property. One of the things that was pointed out at the last hearing was that the orientation puts the rear of the facility and the building on the east side, not on the front road frontage, which would be State Street and Henderson Way. So there was improvement with not having that visibility of those loading dumpster areas and rear access. Also, with the change in the building, there was a width that runs from east to west by an additional 20 feet. So that gave a lot more road frontage coverage for expansion in window coverage, canopy, and features that were more aesthetically appealing. The third criteria was that the strict application of the terms of the ordinance would result in practical difficulty. This standard, if it was strictly adhered to, would create practical difficulty for the petitioner not being able to maximize the full benefit and the use of this land. This property is very kind of narrow in between those two roads. That proposed orientation and that shape was justified with having this variance approved because of it being narrow within that double frontage lot. The request also criteria was that the minimum measure was being requested, and that being considered that that only the one request is that originally there was an L-shape orientation of that building that was approved previously by the Board of Zoning Appeals, with part of that being facing to the north. But yet then with the presentation of the new orientation of the building, it was found that with only eliminating that west facing wall of 2 units was justified. Also, that this was a good use of the property and that it provided a site plan that offered logical, functional, and safe design. And last, that there was not a hardship that was created by either the former property owner or the current property owner. The pre-existence of this building did not exist. It was not there at the time of petition, nor was at the time of presentation. So there was no objection to this presentation for the petitioners, as well as there was one condition that was placed in that the architectural standards of that gateway corridor overlay as required was to be adhered to. And so that was the only condition that was placed upon this finding of fact. Anyone have any questions for me? Perfect.
You're all right.
James, do you have any additional questions? I don't think we have any questions.
Looking forward to get it, start development. They're under some site development approval processes and so forth, but hopefully here in 2026, we'll start seeing some building being erected and start seeing some more development there. So yeah, be a great addition to our community.
Well, before we move on to then old business, we have to vote officers, so we approved to amend our agenda. It wasn't listed.
Oh, okay.
Current officers are,
To approve the finding. of fact.
oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I
okay.
jumped. Okay,
Okay,
we need to
that's okay.
approve the finding of facts. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the finding of facts.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Hey,
So just quickly on this, so let's make sure we go through the roll call vote.
since we have online,
Yeah, let's make sure we just go through.
okay, and
Make
then
sure everybody approves.
we can do a roll call from my left to right.
Robert Jones, aye.
Aye.
Jenny Sisson, yes,
Probably that.
and then James online.
And James King says aye. James King
Motion
says
to
aye.
approve. So approved. Now we will move on to voting of our officers. Currently, we have Kyle Eichhorn as president, Jenny Sisson as vice, and our secretary is James. But we can open that up for new motion, so if someone would like to make a motion for president or the
Make
chair.
motion, we keep the current slate.
Okay, we have a motion to keep the current 3 in place. Do I have a second motion? We have a second,
From James.
then we can do roll call from my left.
Aye.
Kyle, aye.
Jenny Sisson, aye.
Probably that.
James
James
online.
King's.
Okay,
James says aye.
motion approved.
All right, so we're ready for new business?
Yeah.
All right, so new business is V 8/19/2025 -01 variance from development standards in the neighborhood business zoning district 590 South Main Street.
Wrong petition.
So we do have, this petitioner, it is, a variance from development, standards, that is being presented, this evening. The petitioner is online. It's Jeffrey Humble. He is the property owner of this parcel. We'll talk a little bit here about, the site, use and details here in a moment. This petition was filed, the notice requirements as required by state code as well as our BZA rules that this board has adopted. There was also an amendment to that, allowing that certificate of mailing process. It was done in about 2023. And so all of those requirements, those letters did go out timely, as well as the public notifications in the local newspapers were also met within that minimum 10 days, maximum 30 days before tonight's meeting. He is here, so if there are questions that you have for me and him, he is able to answer those as well later on this evening. As far as any opposition, any formal communication, whether positive or not in support of this petition, was not received formally. We did have a community member that did come in and did ask some great questions, provided some great information about this property. It was very helpful to us staff. We really appreciate that. And so then shared those thoughts and concerns with staff, but nothing was written formally as far as to be able to turn that over to you though. But that being said, ready to share some of the current use and site details. This particular parcel, so we're going to learn some new things tonight. This is one petition that we, of its kind, we really haven't seen yet in front of this board here in the last few years. This is a neighborhood business, so this is the first time in a long time that we've had a neighborhood business zoning district petition come before us. Neighborhood business, just in general, is a small scale mixed use type of development. It includes like convenience goods stores, really encourage that walkability, that bikeable type property for easy access from also nearby residents. So neighborhood business is generally, you find, that's kind of mixed in a residential area, which is particular with this subject parcel. The neighborhoods, these properties serve the neighborhoods around that, and that it prohibits auto-centric uses, so such as like drive-through. So we don't particularly see uses that pull in a lot of traffic within these neighborhood business parcels. For this particular parcel, you will see here on the screen here that there are two parcels adjacent to each other. So south down here up to the north, there is one small parcel here up to the north. Altogether, it's about 1.16 acres combined. This is a area that is surrounded, you'll see in the pink shaded area, it's our residential core conservancy. It's kind of our area within that downtown district. And then you'll see this yellow area shaded, that is our single family larger lot SF1. And then don't see it here, but right in here is also diagonally across to the southeast is Trophy Girl. That is also zoned neighborhood business. And when you go on further on, say in the Google Maps, you will find general business. We have outfitters there. We have Frederick's Construction that sits there. And then further to the south, we also have then the vet clinic that is also jumps back to neighborhood business. So the zoning in this is very fitting, not only for the use, but then also within the area. The land use for this particular parcel is self-storage, which is indoor self-storage and or storage unit. That falls within the definition of general retail small, which this is under 6,000 square feet. That is a permitted right within the neighborhood business. And that is how this particular property has been used for quite several years. Years back, and I'll give you a little bit of history, this property owner, Mr. Humble, has been owner of this parcel since 1974. In time, as we started developing our zoning ordinance, our zoning map and so forth, When he had purchased this, he had purchased it from the town of Pendleton. This particular parcel was the original well for the town. So there was an operating well that was on the site, which is actually interesting. It's inside the building. That well does not have a pump. It does not have a motor. It's not in use. But he purchased it from the town when they decided that it was not a needed parcel for the town. And when he took ownership of it, it was state institutional in our old zoning code. Then that was established in 1997 when we got the zone. In 2008, then it changed to planned business, which also kind of supports similar to neighborhood business, but that storage type use. That lasted till 2011. Then kind of oddly, in 2011 through 2019, there was a change in the use. So the north little small sliver of land, it stayed planned business. The larger down below then changed to single family. That stayed until 2021, when we went through our whole update with our Unified Development Ordinance, our new zoning ordinance, combined into the one standard document. And that was when changed, we added in neighborhood business. So when that zoning map and ordinances and districts were identified, it was determined to best identify land use for how the property is being used. So that is why that then got changed. There was a time in which there was a concrete business. He ran his concrete business, but he is kind of retired. It's not an active business, but he still uses the parcel to store his business inventory, his machinery, and just personal storage is how it is currently used and how he is intending to continue to use this parcel. So on this site here, there are public utilities, so it is connected to municipal electric. You'll see that kind of here, the power lines here that are up overhead power lines. Then it does have a water pit that is just here, just south of the drive. He is connected and on a meter for access to public utility water. Inactive well. And then we also have a very high powered electric line that Duke owns that runs just south of his property line. So in that there is an easement. His structure falls within that 80-foot easement. But that is there, but it's not the town of Pendleton's electric power. Okay. Next, Stephanie, we'll go to the next slide here. Okay, so basically what the petitioner is here asking your board for consideration. Mr. Humble is asking to be allowed to expand what we're going to get kind of some definitions here in a minute. He's wanting to expand, expansion, sorry, that's a little typo there, of a legal non-conforming property by connecting to the primary structure he is wanting. So this is the existing structure here, 32 by 60. He is wanting to connect here a 32 by 40 structure here. It is a pole barn structure, would be offering a standing seam metal panels with those concealed fasteners. That is a material, an exterior material that is not permitted. It is prohibited within the neighborhood business. So he is asking to be able to expand this structure, to be able to install this pole barn here. And what his plans are is that he wants to connect in the center of those, a connector, a 6x6, that would also be framed in a similar manner, would be installed by his contractor. It is Swartz Brothers Construction. And then he would take this front facade here and would also have the exterior material match what is going to be offered. And I'll show you an image of what that structure will look like and those materials look like. So he is asking to be able to expand this structure while maintaining the current use of self-storage, as well as maintaining the existing site features. So, you'll see here, this kind of shows where Duke is here, the water pit here, and this is the right of way line here. The setback for primary structure, it is 50 feet off of the public right of way, which this is a collector road. So that is the establishment. He would meet that by give or take a little bit. This property does angle a little bit, but probably 56 to 59 feet there. So, but clearly making that 50 feet setback from the front. The rear also angles here a little bit deeper here, the way that this is going to create a right angle development here, but 24 feet at the most shallow then at the northwest corner there of the structure there. And then clearly our side setbacks, are met. So just wanted to also point out the total square footage. So this kind of comes into play when we talk about those legal but non-conforming sites, that when you expand, then there is a proportionality that we're going to talk about. So just for the numbers here, the existing building is 1920 square feet. Proposing to add, that is the square footage for the 32 by 40 as well as the 6 by 6. That is a total combination of additional 1316 square feet for a total of 3236 square feet. So he is increasing, he's expanding that non-conformity structure by 65%. Okay. So, okay. Does anyone have any questions about kind of the layout and the site details there? All right.
Any stormwater issues relevant to this property?
Not that we are aware of. So, I know that, there's a lot of trees within the site, kind of on the rear end of the site. As far as a little bit farther down to the north, we've had our Elm Street, Madison Avenue, Main Street, where all that was improved. We also do have a drainage pipe that is on the other side of Mr. Hummel's parcel that the town had drawn in from street overflow into the creek that's back there behind Arabian Point. So, yeah, so that's corrected a lot of the drainage issues on this particular site. Yes. So this is the product here. Fully transparent petitioner. This is, wants you to know. He had constructed this site on his personal property. So this structure has been erected. It has been assembled already about a year and a half ago. He had to remove that from his site. And so that is why he is seeking permission to be able to use and reassemble this structure on his neighborhood business site that he owns in town. So this was not in our jurisdiction, the site that this was involved with, but he is wanting to reassemble this same construction company. It's an Amish group that would take the materials from this and work to then meet the site requirements and code requirements as well. But you'll see, here is what it would look like. This would be what you would see, except for that there are paneled garage doors that will be seen from the road frontage. This here is going to have to be modified for a little bit because as you see, as it flips to the other side of the property, it's not going to be deep enough. His contractor would be completely, this has been already disassembled, but this here, this awning, this porch would not exist if it got reconstructed on this side. And then the door would then be on the opposite side. So it won't be exactly what you're seeing here, but it would be similar to same material, same color. It would be that standing seam metal concealed fasteners there. So that is what he is proposing. So we'll kind of talk through kind of what the UDO sets forth. So there are a couple things that we want to bring to your attention. We want to make sure that you're well informed when you're considering, this petition. So The first one is that the Unified Development Ordinance, it sets forth a requirement for development, and that would be new development and or an expansion thereof of a structure. So the architectural standards outlined in chapter 3 within our Unified Development Ordinance, when an improvement location permit is obtained, so that's a building permit, for a new primary, this would be a primary structure, not considered an accessory. So it either applies for a new structure or being primary or accessory structure, or an expansion of an existing primary or accessory structure by 50% or greater in area. So with the calculations there, we've already exceeded that. The proposed expansion already exceeds that 50%. So any development that takes place to a structure then would need to meet the requirements of the UDO in this particular circumstance. And we'll talk about those specifics here in a little bit. There's also another piece of our Unified Development Ordinance that talks about those non-conformities. So those would be in use, structure, and site features. So in that, that is in page, I think, 210 within our UDO. Any legal so first let's define it, legal non-conforming definition. So whereas a use, lot, or structure is lawful before the UDO was put into place. It's kind of like that grandfather clause type concept. So if they were existing and lawful before those standards were passed, but otherwise would otherwise be prohibited or restricted after the passing. So that is where that legal but non-conforming definition comes in. But the UDO gives us guidance that the intent of the UDO is to permit these non-conformities to continue until removed, so long as it remains lawful to do so. There's no other thing that would, no harm, no other code or whatnot that would make it illegal for it to continue to exist. So, so that is something that is set forth. Nor shall non-conformities, though, be enlarged upon, expanded, altered, extended, or intensified without BZA approval. So that is why we're putting this petition in front of you. If a site feature, structure, or use is expanded, this is where the percentage comes in. The corresponding site feature. So if something changes in use, let's say that this petitioner had intended to put, instead of a self-storage, he wanted to put in a salon or, you know, a restaurant. Not going to be allowed in neighborhood business if drive-through. But anyway, if the use was the non-conformity was being increased to then require or prompt a site feature that needed to be adjusted accordingly. So let's say that it changed to a salon and it required, in this particular case, as is, it requires 6 parking spots, okay? It stays 6 parking lots. So then it doesn't mean that that parking lot has to be improved unless something changes in the use, the structure, or the site feature to warrant changing, you know, requiring or prompting that new standard to be applied. That makes sense? Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Legal?
essentially, I think it's if there were to be something that changed here that necessitated additional parking,
Yes,
that needs to be captured. But
Yes.
if there isn't something necessitating parking or other site features as they're
Features.
defined in the UDO, I think parking's the easiest one for everybody to picture. If there's not a need for additional parking, doesn't necessarily cause an issue. Let's kind of put it that way. That's how I'd say.
Yeah.
But that's for current use, not say if he sells future use.
that is correct. And that could be something that could be put into a condition or commitment. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Yep. Yep. But yes, so if there is a prompted need to have an adjustment made, a modification made, then it is equivalent to the proportion in which it increased. Okay, so, so those are some things that, that we would work through, if we come through that. So, the Unified Development Ordinance establishes two sections. So for, a structure, a site development, there are architectural standards for the structure as well as site lot, features as well. So I've kind of outlined those there, that if it was a new development or the board felt like that there was something that you felt that would change to significantly prompt in, adjustments, there are several different architectural standards that would not be, say, met if this was a new development, a new site development that we'd be going under. So that could be exterior materials, the service bay, would not be allowed in a new development, being off of the road frontage. The entrance features, there are 9 different features that at least a minimum of 2 have to be provided. This structure that is being proposed does not meet that. 60% window coverage does not have that requirement, would not be met. Also, there are 3 elements of the front facade, also exterior materials, a mixture of those minimum of 3 that are outlined as options in our UDO. And then also the 12-inch E requirement is also not met by this structure. Okay. Site lot features, parking lot improvements, paved concrete, asphalt drive, that minimum parking space is 6 still today, would be with the intended change in use, but they're not identified, they're not outlined within an improved, it is a gravel lot there. So things that lighting plan, landscaping, kind of broke those down as well. If it was a full site development plan, that the site itself would not meet our requirements within the UDO. So,
Pardon me, but do I understand correctly on, you know, 6 parking spaces, for example, this property may at some point in time change hands because of the, commercial, project, but the area, the asphalt area would be adequate parking that they could put in 6 spaces would be protected for potential future development for that property.
yes, if that is something that the condition is that they have to make the improvement for this expansion of this structure to be done, then yes, they would be then subject to make the improvements to the apron, to the parking lot, outlining, marking those appropriate parking spaces, within 1 barrier free would be required for this.
Thank you.
I think you want to go to the next one. So the function, if you want, do you want me to go through kind of the analysis here and then we'll pause for a public hearing and question, or do you want to pause for questions for myself or petitioner?
I guess, questions for staff. You wanna go?
Yeah, have her go through and then.
Okay, yeah, let's go
Okay,
through
I'm
the
in
staff analysis and then we'll ask
Okay.
questions.
All right, so the function of the planning staff is to analyze the petition against approved and relevant plans and ordinances, as well as any existing conditions and variances placed upon this site. To present facts and analysis, and based on that analysis, we do have the following comments that we'd like to share. The proposed variance does not impose a threat to public health, safety, general welfare. The proposed addition, in looking around the surrounding area, it does complement similar structures and materials, both primary and accessory structures within that area, both not only commercial development, but also residential. The proposed addition to the primary structure does allow the petitioner to maximize the benefit of the land while maintaining that feasible, practical structural addition for intended use. That front facade of the existing structure will be sited. He is committed to that with the same exterior materials, proposed addition, which will give us an overall improved aesthetics and a cohesive appearance for the property. The proposed addition does fall well under the maximum height. The maximum height for primary on neighborhood business is 55 feet. This one is just about 20 feet at the peak. So it does fall well with under that. Rear side front yard setbacks for that addition are met with that proposed expansion. The existing access, ingress and egress, the driveway access would continue to then serve and could serve then the expansion. And there is no utility conflicts. And then he has continued and we continue to consult with Swartz Brothers Construction. They would reassemble that addition. They would have to be subject to Indiana Building Code. We've done research. We have consulted with building inspectors, our consultant with Banning Engineering, that is it a sound rebuild when you take down a pole barn of 1,200 square feet and reassemble it. If it is new and in good condition, it is put and placed on a new proper foundation. That they adhere to make sure that the fastener, that they need to replace it, yes, but it is a practice that they have seen and that is acceptable for a pole barn of this type. One thing that we do also want to bring to your attention, and Stephanie, if you want to go up to, before I get into the conditions, maybe just go up to the property line. You have pictures, I provided in your Teams Drive, pictures of the site currently as it looks. It gives a good idea as far as the depth. There's also those cones that you'll see where he has outlined the footprint of where that addition will be. Also, too, within your Teams folder, you're going to see some GIS beacon drawings that showing the property line. So if you see here, and we wanted to make sure that you're aware of this, that this particular property line here to the west, you'll see this little bump out here, this building. When we looked at it on our GIS, which is not survey accurate, it can be up to about 5 feet off. But when you do our measurements, we're 3 feet at this northwest corner here off of the property line. This bump out is right about 1 to 2 feet, so it is really close. If you look at Madison County Beacon software, when you click on it, that property line does go over that top here of this bump out here. So we have that there. That could be an encroachment on the property owner to the west. In our Unified Development Ordinance, we do not have any standards as far as requiring that to be removed, eliminated, even if there is an expansion. So we did look into that and explore. We don't have that mechanism, but it could be something that within this, if you did so choose in some way, fashion or not to approve this variance, it could be a condition that a survey was provided. It is not a requirement of petition. They do have to provide a deed, which was provided, but they do not have to provide a survey. But that is something that could be required. I think we've done that in another particular case before any construction can begin. So that being said, conditions, commitments, limiting that similar existing land use and or use that is in compliance with our zoning ordinance. That is something that we have listed here for your consideration. Also, the requirement to conduct and provide a survey to ensure that there's no encroachment on the surrounding properties for this addition. If also there is no sanitary sewer that is available. It is in the area and it can be connected if they do want to have a restroom in this facility. Petitioner is considering that, but if they do, they will have to contact Fall Creek Regional Waste to get under contract with them. Also to the water, they do have access already to our public municipal water. But inside this particular building, learned that there is the electric that feeds and supports this structure. But the meter to this electric is inside the building. So we feel that that would be something to consider, that if any improvements were made to the site, that electric meter then would be brought outside of the structure. And then also to add in, even though it is a commitment to add in that the reassemble the installation of any addition to this building would have to adhere to the building code with that proper fasteners and foundation. That is all that I have. You have, go ahead.
The question on the bump out there is, if you refer to it quite close on that property to the west. I see where it might not be an issue now, but 5 years, 10 years down the road, I could see where property owner to the west might make that an issue on this particular request before us.
Sure.
I guess that's concerned about that. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure what they are, but I could see thinking like down the road, it might be an issue at some point in time for property owner to the west. Think, wait a minute, I'm looking at that, and I get a survey, and think, well, this is 2 feet over my property. But I know we have properties here in town where you have that application, that is that a potential issue in this project?
I mean, it definitely is a pre-existing circumstance, pre-existing, I think probably, that structure was there when he purchased it in 1974. He just kind of surfaced the exterior. But yes, I think that if you look at the pictures that I have in the team, there looks like there's a good 3 feet, maybe 2 feet between that structure and that that fencing there before the wood lawn. But yes, it is. We have not received a survey to verify. So that is something that we do not have the 100% assurity, but we believe that in speaking to a resident as well as petitioner, that it could be very likely that it is an existing encroachment on that property.
But right now, we don't have any mechanisms and
Mechanisms to require it to be removed. That is correct.
Even if it is over, it's been that way for 50 years.
For 50
so
years, yes, yeah.
I think if the addition was over there, maybe it'd be a concern, but
Or if it changes hands, I think we could make that a condition.
Yeah. I think it's something we need to weigh the pro and con of that, but obviously we don't have a crystal ball for the future, but if we approve this project tonight, then we're approving that with that knowledge of that encroachment, and then we said, we're good to go with that.
Yeah.
And, I think we need to weigh the pro and con of that.
Yeah.
Basically, do approve it.
Well, my thought is that, like, as it's been there for 50 years. But if this property were to change hands, I think we could make that a condition that would have to be addressed. Because if someone then is coming in and buying it and deciding this is residential, what was the classification, residential neighborhood business, thank you, we don't deal with neighborhood business. And depending on what kind of business, it could be an issue at that point, so I think at the exchange of hands, that needs to be addressed and clarified and make that a condition. I also think that at that point, any future uses, we would want to make sure we're appropriate, we're outfitted to meet any current UDO at that point in time. I understand the continued use is the same, but it's that future use. We mentioned parking as one, but there's a whole litany of things that would need to be changed based on our current UDO.
is there a language to that effect that you can, if we do approve this, language to that effect that you can incorporate that into what action we take
Well, it's non-conforming right now.
right now? Yeah,
And so then typically if it would exchange hands, correct? Usually you could,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Right, so I think maybe for clarification, the current use is permitted under the
Exactly.
current
It is.
UDO, but
It is.
right, so
compliant.
that-
Yeah.
if we're talking about a time where the use would actually change, that kind of starts this process over again, right, where they would have to come back and submit whatever the changes may be in connection with that use. I think that we're kind of put it in three buckets here. There's the use, which we're not concerned with, then the building structure itself, and then the site, which is essentially everything but building. So if there were, at the time that the property changed hands, the building was further, either the existing building or this other one was changed again, we find ourselves here again, where the variance would be back in front of this board. Same idea with the site plan, if there were to be something on the site that necessitated further consideration. And we'll keep using the parking example, but I guess setbacks would be another one, something like that. At the time where that further change comes to the buildings or the use or the site, this comes back in front of the board, and those are, reconsidered for purposes of what that next owner may intend to do with the site. So, there is a way that we could probably discuss wording the condition or commitment here. But I think to answer some of the questions and concerns, anything substantive that were to change after this because of its non-conforming status right now, a lot of it would necessitate kind of coming back in front of the board down the road.
good.
It reminds me kind of Hargreaves, the situation we had with the conditional use. And, we found that was, use that, needed that elevated permission from BZA, and found out after the fact that they had come in and taken over that tenant space there with the grooming services. So we addressed that and, made that right. Another thing too, that we're going to be working with legal on is establishing a business registration process. So that will be able to help that when we have those new establishments that come in, whether it's a lease space or it's by owner, we'll be able to have those things a little bit more upfront and hopefully ahead of the time that we can identify these needs as well.
So this is a legal non-conforming property. So what is not conforming about how it is today?
What is not conforming is just like the materials for the building, and then also the site features. It
Okay.
would not have been approved if we didn't have the parking, the lighting, the landscaping,
Gotcha, okay.
the exterior, yeah. So it's the structure and the site right now is what is not
Just based on the material.
Yes.
Okay,
window coverages, stuff like that.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
I do have additional question on the materials. I thought that the hidden fasteners was what was approved in our UDO.
For neighborhood business, it's,
Okay, so
yes.
it's just because the classification.
Yes, yes,
Not
yeah,
materials.
neither of them are approved. Yeah,
We
Okay,
do have
Yep.
some where that is.
Yes, that is.
absolutely allowed.
that
Yeah,
concealed is allowed,
Because
but
I knew-
neighborhood business is not allowed.
I knew we didn't do the rivets, it was the
Yep.
hidden fasteners.
Yes, yeah.
Material.
The material, so would be like, of course, you got a traditional brick, feast, or ethos and, I think even
Wood block.
vinyl, yeah.
There's, I
Then-
mean, there's a lot. That table wasn't exhaustive, but
Yeah.
but
Trying to think of what's popping up here.
But
easier
not
to know
just
what
wood,
the
can't
metal.
do is
Yeah.
put again, it's usually what we run into first.
However, the new addition from the looks is similar to the current. So it won't have, I mean, it should flow.
Yeah, I mean, the current building there, I believe, is exposed fastener.
And he's gonna recover the front, yeah,
Okay, so that kind of.
Yeah. the concrete block, the
Yeah,
textured
like-
tilt up panels.
Do they have, so it says 2 out of 9 entrance features, 2 out of 9 options. So the existing building doesn't have 12-foot eaves on it, that picture? 12-inch eaves, I mean?
12-inch, so on, roll back up here.
There you go. Gotta click off of it.
Like those eaves don't qualify.
Oh, well, no, they do, I was thinking for some reason when I, that the front, and it wasn't the 80% requirement. But no, that would be met then on the eaves.
So they have 1 of the 9. So
So those are
So that,
like all sides, the entry features are only for that.
that's for the roof line, the eaves.
Yeah.
The front, yeah, door, that would be like either like a canopy, archway,
An arcade,
yeah.
all glass, storefront.
That kind of gives, and then that bump out, give a little dimension. Those are those options then to give a little bit character to those front entryways.
it looks like they would need to move the service doors away from the front. Provide the facade features. And then have these site features, which are parking spaces. Sidewalk. Lighting and landscaping, so those are the things that they don't have, I guess, right?
It could be fully
To
compliant.
be
yeah.
compliant.
Yeah. Sidewalk, this is long-term, but there is going to be eventually widening of South Main and South Pendleton Avenue to the south. We've got some electrical work that we're working on right now to get that kind of knocked out. But in a few years from now, that road will be widened and sidewalks will be provided from all those property owners down to the south. But that's probably gonna be a 3-year, maybe 5-year project before we get to that, though. So there will be eventually connectivity to Arabian Point and those sidewalks there, that will be offered to all those property owners.
All the way down to what, Monterey?
Yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah.
all the way down there.
Yep. AMPA's doing improvements right now to the line, but we just got some of the parcels we just kind of got to clean up right away and make that possible.
Um. The electric being located currently inside of the building.
The electric, yeah, meter is inside the building. It's been there since, day one, but that was, and I spoke with the electric department supervisor and, he said it could be possible. It could be definitely be done. Any new build, they would not allow a meter to be inside.
See that a lot up north. Temperatures.
Jeff has anything to say?
Yeah, so to say a few months.
Yeah.
Open,
Let's
yeah.
ask for any more questions for staff and then we can open the public.
And I don't know if Jeff, if he has anything to humble the petitioner, if he has anything to add or not.
We've got them unmuted.
You want us to invite him to
Yeah, let's
share?
go ahead.
Okay, all right. Mr. Humble, do you have anything that you would like to add to the presentation? Anything that you'd like to share or comment?
He's talking, but.
We can't hear you. Hold on just a second.
Mr. Humble, you have to unmute yourself.
You trying to accept it?
Should be up in the top right, I think. There's a microphone that's got a line through it. No? Turn on you. Cause they spoke, yeah, yeah. I know you guys had it working earlier.
There you go. How's
There we
that?
go. That's much better. Thank you.
No, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, again, thanks for allowing me to be a part of this and with the invitation. As I had previous conversations with Denise, there's no intended change of use for that building or the addition to the building. It would be warehouse space. As she pointed out, I think on the drawing, in that 6x6 connector, right there in that corner would be the entrance to the new addition. There would not, as it's planned now, there wouldn't, because it's warehouse space and for security reasons, as well as the past use of the building, there's never been any windows in the building at all, other than what was in the doorway at the south, on the east side at the south end. So, knock on wood, in all these years, I've never had a problem with any theft or break-ins. So, it's not broke, so don't fix it. Did you hear all that?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. As far as the parking lot, the area that's parking now, it is a stoned area. And I've tried to keep it looking decent and nice, but there's not going to, I'm the only one that's there and maybe another person. So other than, there's no public walking in and out or coming in. So hopingly that I can just maintain the lot with, fresh stone on it and keep it looking decent is kind of my goal. So, and as I think Denise said, the vertical siding that's going to be on the new structure will also the vertical siding on the existing building would be removed and replaced with the same siding that's on the proposed addition. And the metal roof, some years ago, I had replaced with a metal roof on the existing building. It was asphalt shingles underneath. So the existing metal roof is going to be about this, obviously about the same color as the proposed building. So it'll all flow together aesthetically. Concerning when I purchased the property, at the time of that purchase, it was still owned by the railroad company. And sometime after the purchase, when the previous owner to the property now behind me or to the west, the previous owner used to be Bernie Clare, and of which he had taken action to become the owner of that railroad right-of-way. which was basically just marked by the use of it and some corner fence posts at the south end of the property, which is still standing, and there's some at the north end of the property that's still standing or marked, that basically gives you that line for that east edge of the railroad right of way, which that when in line, my building is not sitting on the railroad right of way, but the property that I'm speaking of, that was Bernie Claire's, of course, it changed hands a few years back. And I think Jeff Barger owns it. And of course, those were existing conditions where my building was sitting in relation to that right of way. So, for lack of another term, to kind of grandfathered in. So, those are my main concerns, and I'll work hard to
Keep it presentable.
keep the property presentable and so it's an asset to the neighborhood. And of course, I look forward to the sidewalk, the town putting the sidewalk down Main Street to go in front of the property, which helps to kind of line everything up, and I know what's my responsibility and what's the town's responsibility. So, yeah, I don't have anything else in mind right now. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you. Any questions for the petitioner? Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and we have a public hearing, correct? All right,
Thank you, Jeff.
We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anybody online or in person who wishes to speak on this matter? Come on. Give us your name, address.
Yep.
Address. Just,
No address?
yeah, we don't think it goes on YouTube now.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be obvious now. Jeff Barger, so we're on three sides of the district property. First thing, and this is just by sitting here, the building, the existing building does not have 12-inch overhangs. It's just a flat, full barn construction. The existing building is gonna be probably 8 to 12 feet smaller, so the roof lines are gonna be really wonky. And the roof color is not gonna match. That petitioner has a black roof, that does. The current roof is close to the same color as the siding, but the roof colors are gonna be two different colors. The garage doors on the old building are barn style doors with full open. So we're gonna have a 12, that, by the looks of that picture, it looked like it was a 12 by 12 or 12 by 14 new garage door facing the street with another, probably 10 by 10 garage door. So that's, in my opinion, that's not really a flow that's gonna look aesthetically pleasing. Got a tall building, a small building, two different roof styles, two different door styles. There's not really gonna be much of a flow. First time I've seen those pictures, so shot from hip on that a little bit, but that's really not a good flow in my opinion. Also, you can see right there in that picture, if outside storage thing, we've already established that we've kind of already maybe bended that rule a little bit. There's a lot of outside storage already. There's been trees that have been over there. There's been piles of, there have been, lots of other things going on in that property. So, and also, and I feel like now is the time to address these things, not wait until we have them. We already got a substantial change here as far as structure. So, that's kind of what
in my opinion, what the UDO is trying to, now's the time to address these things, not make a non-conforming property even worse by, you know, what's somebody gonna do with that when it does change, because eventually everything does. What are they gonna do with a pole barn to try to make it, you're gonna try to meet your window requirements, try to meet the construction requirements. I think that this actually would make that process harder rather than trying to address it now. So going back to the survey, there's definitely encroachment. I had this survey, we lived in our house 22 years. So the survey, when we purchased the property was surveyed. There was an encroachment. I've never made a deal of it because we knew it when we bought it. It wasn't part of, you know, lots of times. And the 50-year thing, that doesn't apply when you council speak better than this probably than I can. But if you're encroached, you're encroached. It doesn't matter how long the encroachment is, you still have the property. So maybe that's not part of what needs to be discussed tonight, but I think it definitely is something that needs to be addressed with any kind of improvement. And we are altering that building that is an encroachment because you're putting new siding on front potentially. So I would encourage a new survey. My survey doesn't obviously have his structure. We've talked about it, Mr. Humble and I talked about it before. I think the railroad does kind of throw a different thing because the railroad surveys were different, but when we had our survey, I think the last one we had was in 2006. The surveyor said that there was encroachment there. We've had some conversations. Petitioner have had some conversations about it. So I think that's something that definitely is an issue. Let's see. Feels like old times. And he's answered a lot of the questions that I had as far as the mailings. I didn't realize that had changed, so I appreciate that. And then I guess the last question I would have is if it is approved in any fact in this way, what's our procedure if things change and we see different things going on over there, which is a concern of ours. We're kind of setting ourselves up for what protection do you have as a resident for that? So if it's approved, we see an issue, we talk to Denise and Hannah, then that starts a whole nother problem that I think could be addressed this evening. For us, the town, and that situation. So I would be glad to share my survey with you. However, I didn't bring it tonight because it doesn't have this property. But that's my belief is that there definitely is encroachment. Sounds like he's semi-agreeing with that already as well. So, yeah. That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
You used to ask them any questions, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Response to that?
Yeah.
First of all, if you do call, you know, we
Right.
definitely want to meet the public and be accessible
Absolutely.
and do not hesitate.
Right.
Yeah, if you do see that, if it does get approved, you know, we
Right.
definitely want to be notified as soon as possible. I just wanted to comment, in regarding to your observation and something I failed to bring out earlier with the outdoor storage in those vehicles. That image is outdated, so that isn't current. Mr. Humble has made removals and elimination. I think he's got currently, when I was there marking off the site and doing measurements, there is a flatbed trailer over here, kind of in this little area, another vehicle, and he does have some outdoor materials. Some of it is for the structure itself. There's other materials that do need to be removed. So we did have a conversation. We did explain that to him, that it is permitted use for self-storage. It is indoor, not outdoor. So, yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that we did have that conversation.
Any other people present? Speak?
Yeah, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Your survey, was it staked or was it like it's part of a mortgage?
It's staked. So there's a stake, an existing stake, on the north, kind of where she has Duke right there. I know there's a steel stake there and there's another stake. I don't know if I would be, but it is staked, yes.
So you own a piece between Arabian Point and this piece
Correct.
touches Main Street.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, both sides, or all three sides.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. I'm Michelle Worley and I am a next door neighbor to this proposed change here to this land and this just over 1 acre property. So for me, I'm concerned, my husband and I are concerned about what this change could look like today, but really what the future could bring, right? And so if we make, if this were to be approved by all of you, what could that be in 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 years from now? So I am not in agreement with this change here. As a neighbor, I've seen, the outdoor storage that's been in use. I've seen grass overgrown. And so that is a concern when you already have a building. Why cannot everything be properly maintained? And so because this property is over 1 acre, would the outdoor storage continue? And so that's a huge concern of ours is the aesthetics of this land because it's right in town. Concerned about the design itself. Will roof pitches match? Will the buildings itself be aesthetically pleasing? Concerned about, we're also concerned about the structure being moved. And the complications that could come into play when that is being rebuilt. I'm sure the construction company is fantastic, but I'm also concerned about maybe some potential short changes that could come into play, especially with the porch being removed. How does that side now look? Is a whole new piece of siding going to be added there so that we have this finished, complete look? We are concerned about the volume of traffic on this road. I've shared that before with the town, with Denise. It seems that this is the new fun, happy highway to take as Main Street as opposed to Pendleton Avenue. And so with that, I'm concerned then with this machinery, the cement trucks that are gonna be there, that's even additional weight on these brand new roads that the town works so hard on to be able to have this beautiful Main Street that they're working on now. And then with a new phase, even if it's 3 to 5 years from now, we'll have some additional improvements made to Main Street. And so now we have these large cement trucks and other utility style vehicles that could be compromising these brand new roads. I feel that this building structure could be an eyesore in total, looking at it in its totalitarian value because of the amount of space that it will take, given the small town feel that we have within Pendleton. And, ultimately what I would like to say that, the town has been working really hard. We are getting to a point now within our community where things should look aesthetically pleasing. And I feel that this would not even remotely be within that category. So thank you very much for your time.
Anybody else, in person or online wishing to speak? Yeah, we can have the petitioner respond, I guess. You're muted again, sorry.
Yeah, he's muted. Jeff, do you want to go ahead and,
He's talking, but it's.
yeah, you're still muted. You'd like to reply to any of the comments made?
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Thank you.
Okay. In response, when I first approached this project, I did find out from that because of the high power lines down at the south end of the property, if at some future point, and that is, I'm not going to live forever, and I'm 76, I'm just using this as a hobby to finish out the golden years of my life, because I am a bit of a car buff and I have some antique cars and trucks that will be in these buildings. But I was told that if at the time that I'm no longer here and that property is sold, when it is sold, the new property owner would not be allowed to continue with that existing building because of the proximity of that building to those high power lines. So that building was there, and then the high tension line, power lines were put in. Therefore, at the time there's a change in use of the property, that buildings would come down because it would be a good location for a residential use as opposed to a commercial use. So at that time, everything could change, but I can tell you this, that because I'm the owner and I was grandfathered in with where it sits, I haven't had to remove that building. So if you're worried about, again, some are worried about what's going to happen down the road. So I can tell you this, at that time, it would all change, and building will probably not even be there. So.
Okay, I'm Jeff's wife, Christy. I want to answer one of your questions. Jeff is 76 years old. There will not be a concrete company in that building at all. There will not be concrete trucks coming up and down the road for him. If there is, it may be once. It's being held strictly to be his play toys, which are antique cars. So it will not be an industrial type of situation. Okay, I'm good.
I think that's all I have it right now until I hear something further.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public input? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Board discussion.
Me, this is a tough one, standpoint, we had the revert from neighbors, and good comments, valid concerns. We talked some more about, we don't have a crystal ball, we don't know the future, we don't want non-conforming use of the property, and certainly appreciate what someone's wanting to do for antique vehicles and what his plans are. I think that sounds good. But there also, I think you look at the surrounding neighbors, the valid concerns. So I think, well, is there would be some kind of a compromise reaching there between the current owner, Mr. Humble, and those good folks, the neighbors, that maybe come back to us with a different plan if they would entertain that kind of discussion. I hate to approve something when the neighbors surrounding the property are like, not keen with the proposal. Or didn't want to name Mr. Hummel's what he wants to do. I certainly appreciate that. And I can see some room for maybe some further discussion among the property owners, see if they can come back with another proposal that would be pleasing to all.
I think that's a good suggestion. Especially since it's a pre-existing structure being added to another pre-existing structure. I'm not sure if it is as seamless as presented. I think the encroachment, I think that goes beyond this BCA, aside for future uses, and I'm very concerned with future uses. I think some good comments were made on that, which is what we've established our UDO on, making sure that we're thinking ahead and not just for today's use. So I definitely think some further discussion with the neighbors, maybe a new proposal.
Might be good to look at the table, the proposal before us and kick it back to the owner of the property and the neighbors who get to the owner, if he wants to pursue it. And he would be willing to work with neighbors to come back with a proposal that everyone would be somewhat in agreement on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to force the existing building to fit maybe
Yeah.
isn't the best solution.
But-
Maybe there's middle ground to be had.
So if you're willing to entertain a motion, premature, but I would
Is-
make a motion that we table this request at this time.
All right, we've got a motion. James, do you have any input?
You probably want to continue, not to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with Rob, continuing and maybe having the neighbors and the property owner get together and figure out a solution before they bring it back to the board. If you have, two neighbors objecting, I think he's surrounded. So, does Pendleton have access to any kind of mediation service for cases like this that you know of? Anybody?
No. You're not.
I mean, we can help, connect and help with those conversations, but as far as, an expert to kind of mediate, I don't.
Can I ask a question of staff? Maybe this would help clarify. Let's just hypothetically, let's say we just approve this exactly as it's presented. And then somewhere down the line, a new owner wants to, I'm looking at the neighborhood business district in UDO right now. Let's say a new owner wants to open a liquor store. What do they have to do then? Do they have to do anything to make the property conforming? If we just approve this as presented with no conditions, what would a new owner have to do to be able to open a completely permitted use on that property? A liquor store or a restaurant, something like that. Would they have to then meet all of the requirements that we would round off, the exterior materials, the facade, all of those, the parking? Would they have to bring all of that into compliance, or because it's permitted use, would they be allowed to do it as it says?
They have to bring it into compliance. And you have to bring it into compliance with the change in use.
If it is.
You go to the. Oh,
Yeah,
They can
yeah,
hear
so
it.
that's
on
right.
Teams.
Yeah. So, if they are changing the use and that use would justify changes in site features and so forth, then yes, they would have to come in compliance with it. If the use was changed to another permitted use, then they would not have, and it did not jolt or prompt any need for any site feature upgrades, expansions or whatnot, then no. If they're not because right now we've got a permitted use. So that is not a nonconformity that they would be increasing at all. If they, let's say that, a restaurant was permitted, you know, on that site, and it would prompt things like more additional parking or, you know, seating or whatnot, then yes, that would be things that they would have to come in compliance with. The UDO.
But only the aspects that are required to be changed.
Yes,
So they could potentially make this building work and leave it there with some additional improvements potentially.
could, yes. You know, Catherine, it might be something that where it would just be demolished and, you know, bought for the land but yet, yes, I mean, they would have the certain confinements of our standards that they would have to comply with and.
I can see that. I think to me, the issue before us is you have concerns about the current proposal before us. Not about the future necessarily. I mean, that's, we look at future, we don't know on that. And then, but you do have a proposal before us now to modify the property and its structures to that. And you have neighbors that surround the property have concerns about that. I think I would go back to my original comment that I think we should kick this back to them, particularly to the owner of the property, see if he's willing to reach out to the neighbors, see if they can reach some kind of a compromise. And there again, I think we should probably continue this project and wait to hear further from them if they choose to pursue it.
I think that is one of the criteria, is that, you know, the land value and how it's going to impact those around it. So, you know, appearance and aesthetics comes, you know, in play with that. So, that is, you know, one of the biggest, contributors of that. So, I mean, that is something definitely that, you know, like you commented, if it's a building that we're trying to kind of retrofit, we're trying to, you know, fit just to be able to make it work for the current need right now. We don't want to create any unnecessary hurdles for him to, you know, as a petitioner to meet, but yet at the same time, if it's not meeting that criteria, it takes all 5 sets of criteria to be able to be approved, to be able to have you know, approval of that variance request, so. Yeah. Oh. Jeff, did you have something you wanted to comment? Would that be something that you would be open to talking through?
There we go. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Briefly state it again, could you please?
They want to see if you'll,
So
talk to
the,
the neighbors.
so Jeff, they are asking if you would want to have conversations with your adjacent property owners that are here this evening and potentially any others to be able to come up with a modification to that structure, to that site that would be in agreement with them to provide a support for your, a favorable support for your petition request. Whether that was exterior materials, any improvement to the structure or improvement to the site beyond what you are asking for this evening. And they're asking.
I would certainly meet and have that discussion, yes.
I think town ought to be involved in that. I don't.
Yeah, it can happen here.
Yes, I think planning needs to be involved in the conversations as well, but.
Who is speaking now?
That is Mr. Barger. He is recommending, and I agree with him, that it would need to be a meeting with the 3 of us or 4. And we'd be planning department, Mr. Barger, Mrs. Weirley, any other property owner that would want to join those conversations with us. including you. That's something that we can schedule here.
Okay. And to bring up a point that was brought up by Mr. Barger, and and this is a thing that I have fought all along, and that is the maintaining of that railroad right of way so it's presentable to the eye for the public going down Main Street. And due to weather conditions, the trees on that property and that right of way have fallen across that property line and have ended up on my property and have yet to be fully removed by Mr. Barger. Okay. And I can only maintain my property the best of my ability and keep it looking good. But when trees fall down across that property line that are not mine, and the person doesn't strive to clean it up and maintain the decent look of it, that's out of my control. So, and concerning the roof lines of the building and the existing building versus the one that's proposed to attach to it, the height of the existing building is near 16 feet tall, plus or minus, but the height of, and that's at the peak, okay? Where they connect, the gutter line or the roof line of the new building is right at 16 feet. So those 2 points don't meet, okay? And the roof pitch on both buildings are very close to being the same roof pitch.
But yes, you would like to meet with them.
But again, I will be happy to meet with those people involved and be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any elevations? Are there any drawings of renderings of plans at all? No, okay. And that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think there's just too many nonconformities here that there's gotta be a way to make it work better. So we've gotta, you made a motion to continue.
Motion to
Do
continue.
I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's, on that vote.
James.
James King says aye.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Robert Jones, aye.
Kyle, aye.
Jenny says an aye.
I believe that.
James,
And
one more
James
time.
King, aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Vote aye.
So it's between now and the next BZA meeting,
Yep.
you guys can schedule something here to figure out how we can move forward. How far, when's our deadline to make a decision? In the window? 60 days or?
There's not really a true window. I think we need to consider re-noticing it technically. Be continuing the public hearing, so. Well, we can look at that and figure that date out.
So then that might put it to where, think about timing, that might throw it into the March. Or reschedule if we.
Yeah, but we'll confirm if we need to re-notice it, but we can get that sorted out quickly.
Did you have a comment?
Yeah, are we able to get a copy of this PDF? This is the first that we've seen this. And then also, will we have a choice in when these meetings will be. I'll be out of state the first week of March for work. I mean, my husband's not even here tonight because he's in Chicago. We would very much like to be a part of it, of the meetings.
Yeah, we'd make sure that it works for everyone.
Okay,
And
thank you.
yeah, we won't live without anyone. So, yeah. And we'll have to do it, we'll do it virtual. But we'll do it in person here. But anyone that needs to attend virtually, we'll make that happen as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'll get your contact information to me and we'll make sure we get it set.
Is that item? There's a section here for public comment. Is that just for non-related topics or
It might be like the new agenda form.
format?
For the format. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I guess we can adjourn until February 17th.
Okay, all right, we'll keep you posted.